Okay, so hello. My name is Alison Torba, and I'm going to continue talking about the HCG protocol and my experience with it to help the newcomers, um, especially in that first week, but then also just your first round and how it's gone for me to possibly give you some insight or some calming effect on the the rigorousness of what needs to be done in some cases. So, um, my dog is here. This is Artemis. Artemis is a dachshund, and she's on a raw food diet as of halfway through my HCG protocol. Um, she's got Cushing's, and she's kind of not responding to medicine. So my inspiration and all of the benefits I've gotten from the HCG diet have gotten me reading a lot of nutrition books. Well, not a lot, a few key ones that really have made me think about bodies and how different bodies metabolize different ingredients. Particularly dogs, carnivores eating a lot of carbohydrates. I did put her on a grain-free food about a few months ago, but that might have not been enough, so we'll see. Anyway, Macy wanted to sit with me, so she's sitting up here with me while I'm doing this. So I'm going to talk about several things. I'm just going to tell you what they are so you know if you want to watch this one or not. And by the way, I'm actually on the first day of phase 3 or 2, depending how you count it, today. So I'm on technically phase 3. So that's when I start eating more food than the 500 calories. So my very low calorie diet ended yesterday. And and today is Friday, the 11th of September 2015, and 3 days ago, 72 hours ago, I took my last HCG injection of 20 milligrams of HCG, or milligrams, one of the two, and milligrams. So I have my naturopath isn't super big on the last injection weight. That's not how I was directed really to track my weight. So we're doing things a little bit differently. So today my weight is actually lower, quite a bit lower than it was the last injection weight. It's 175.4, and so I'm just gonna be going from that weight on every day after, because that's what I was directed to do. So I'll be more specific about that later, but so that actually brings me into a topic that I wanted to talk about. Well, first I did an extension of the 40 days because I was able to do that because the way that my naturopath had coached me to do the diet and the recipe she's given me and some of the tips have allowed me to feel pretty comfortable on phase 2. I felt like it was very doable. I wasn't in any kind of turmoil. Well, I had my emotions and I was doing emotional work, but I wasn't feeling like I couldn't do it or I was craving or I wasn't, it was nothing different, let's say, than before. So, so I continued on. Rather than 40 days, I did 60 days, and I already had that much HCG anyway, so I didn't pay any extra money. I paid $450 for my 40 days, 60-day supply, and then every week I tweaked and met with my naturopath to get B vitamin shots and a fat burning shot together B12 and B6, and then also just tweaking with her what I was eating and what was changing and all the different issues. And then also weighing with her, um, and then also that included a supply of a really great mineral pill that I took 3 of those pills every night. And that was, I loved that. It really helped me to feel relaxed, those pills. I'm still taking them, even though I probably don't need to or won't need to, but I really liked them. So, and I've watched some videos about leg cramps and different people having different kinds of issues, and then they find that when they eat like potassium or when they start to do some kind of a supplement, they feel better. So I was fortunate to have started that from the beginning, so I didn't really have issues. One time I had leg cramps, I took the pill, I hadn't taken the pills, and they went away in like 20 minutes. So I also drank mineral water sometimes, and I drank the really good mineral water that had a lot of minerals in it. And so I did that a few times, the sparkling mineral water, and mix that with the lemon, and then put lemon drops, sweet leaf stevia in there, and have lemonade. And I did that a lot. I did that kind of lemonade mix in order to eat my lemon that is required in phase 2 every day, pretty much. I really liked that lemonade, and with sparkling water it made it fun. I didn't do that often, but when I wanted something different, I did. So yeah, so that's what I did with the naturopath. And I also ended up halfway through getting 2 scales. I ordered the one, and it didn't do, it only did half-pound increments, and so I ended up ordering another one online that did tenths of increments. And I have them sitting next to each other, and there are regularly a pound different, and which drives me crazy. I don't, I can't, it just, I can't believe that. I don't know how that, why, or I just try to not think about it. So what I do is I take the lowest weight, and I note it, and I take from the same scale. So I know that the day before it told me this other weight, and so I dropped, whatever it is that I dropped. So that's kind of what I'm going on. And the naturopath, her name's Elizabeth Grady. I'm in Tucson, Arizona. She would weigh me on like a bigger scale that has the weights, and I never liked doing that, but it probably is the more accurate weight scale. So, but the percentage of loss, or the amount of loss, is similar. It's just that both of us say I started at a different place and ended at a different place. Plus, she was weighing me late in the afternoon, and I weigh myself at home in the early morning. So I've learned to just, as far as her weighing of me and the scale weighing, to just give or take 2 pounds. That's my weight is. So that's what I've kind of come to. And I like my scale because it says I'm lighter in the morning when I wake up than her scale ever said. So, which is, when you wake up first thing in the morning, you are lighter. So I feel like that's an accurate measurement. My weight fluctuates a lot during the day. It's bizarre. So that was kind of a drama with the scales, and I've never quite come to terms with it. The only thing that seems to make sense to me is just that using the same scale, and then the loss shows, and the loss showed on her scale, the loss showed on my scale. And also measuring my body with a measuring tape. That I think it's the first time I'd ever done that, and I did that like maybe every couple weeks during the 60 days, and that was great. Gave me a sense of real accomplishment, like, oh, okay, so, you're dropping a few pounds, but look at all this inch loss, and the inch loss was significant. So, oh, my stupid, wow, I wonder if that's going to show. I have to play with this while it's recording. Okay, so I wanted to do the final inch loss. Okay, so my neck started at 15, and it is now 14. So I started on July 12th, and I'm ending yesterday, which was September 10th. So my neck, around my neck here, 15 inches to 14 inches. My bust went from 40 inches to 38 inches. My waist went from 36 inches to 32 inches. My hips went from 47 inches to 43 inches. My upper arms went to 14 inches started at 14 inches around both arms to 12 inches. My right thigh went from 31 inches to 25 inches. My left thigh went from 31 inches to 24 inches. That was the huge loss. I lost 7 inches on, 7 inches on my left thigh and 6 inches on my right thigh. That was just a huge. And then my belly went from 45 inches to 40 inches, and so you see, those are really great to see how much I'm shrinking sideways horizontally versus the weight. So technically my naturopath says I lost 33 pounds. And it was like, I think it was like, just shy of 33 pounds. And my calculations is that I lost 35 pounds based on my weight. So over that time. So that's that. And so what I'm going to talk about, I forgot to do this, is caffeine, water consumption, broth, stevia, extensions of time, weights, measurements, which I just did, scale discrepancy, which I already did, introducing salmon during phase 2, ovulation, and spark people, which is like a menu tracking. Okay, so if you don't want to hear about those, then okay, so caffeine under consumption, an overconsumption. So I actually had water, so both times I went on my period over this stretch, I had like 6-day or 7-day, from 5 to 7 day stalls, and they would say that was water retaining, right? And then after it would end, then I would lose pretty quickly on the few days. So the water retention was a big deal. So the first time that happened, I said, oh well, okay, so water is a real mover and shaker with this diet. So I'm into, so at some point I had realized that I was drinking caffeine, and I didn't quite know how much, but I kind of guesstimated how much I was drinking, and I thought, oh, I need to drink, because my naturopath said you need to drink twice as much water as you're drinking caffeine. Anything with caffeine, or like coffee, is what I think, that's the baseline. Like if you're drinking coffee, you need to drink twice as much as you drank of the coffee. So so let me back up. So I had never really measured how much water I drank. So what I did is I went to Walmart and I bought these like plastic jugs that have these red tops. They're just cheap plastic jugs, and they have measurements on them. They have milliliters on them. And I bought two little ones, one big one. So one was 2 quarts, and then the two 1 quarts, and then little ones for like salad dressing, and so being able to measure smaller liquids. And those were really, really helpful to me. And also water bottles, but I didn't know how much a water bottle was. I had never, seriously, had never thought about any of this stuff before at all. I really just was not aware of quantities of water, or quantities period of any kind of liquid. So what I would do is I had this little bag of shells that had little like nice sayings on each shell for me, and I would put every time I would finish one of these 32-ounce containers of water, I would put a shell in the bowl, and in that way I would keep track of how much water I drank. And I knew, and so I made a rule that I wasn't going to fill a water bottle up unless it was empty. And I would only fill a water bottle or one of these little jugs or up if it was totally empty, and I was going to fill it all the way to the top. So there was never going to be a question. It was either, and then when I would get done with one, it would be like, oh, I drank the whole thing. So then I'd get a shell. And then when I would drink caffeine, I also measured how much the cups I was drinking were, and ended up being that they were 16 ounce, so half of 32 ounce, which is pretty, I mean, once you do it, it makes sense, but I just didn't know that. So the 32 ounce, the quart, like the big coffee mugs, like the bigger ones, are the ones that I like this from Walmart, is 16 ounces, and I drink tea all morning. So this is 16, and so it's two of these is the quart. So if I drink two of these, then I have to drink 32 ounces of water, and then another 32 ounces of water. So two of the bigger jugs. And a water bottle like this is 32 ounces. And it actually says it on it, 32 ounces. So this is 1 quart. 32 ounces is 1 quart. And so every time I would drink 32 ounces of the tea or of the caffeine, I would put a shell outside and then I would know, okay, I was supposed to cancel out this with this. So I'd keep track like that throughout the day. Luckily I work at my house. So, and this has just helped train me about liquid consumption and all this. So, and water consumption and what exactly I'm doing with it. I learned so much. One of the things I learned was that, okay, you have coffee, and 32 ounces of coffee is a lot, right? I mean, that's a lot of caffeine. But what I was drinking 32 ounces of green tea, which is actually the half the amount of caffeine of coffee. Or no, 1/4 the amount of caffeine of coffee. I was brewing it pretty strong, so it may have been more. And I was doing a loose leaf from China, like the most strong green tea you could get. So, maybe it was half. But so it's important for me to calculate that, oh, okay, I was drinking 32 ounces, but it's the same as 16 ounces of coffee. So, so I wasn't too worried about that. So it was like, okay, so 16 ounces, a couple 16 ounces is 32. That means I only need to drink 16 ounces or 32 ounces of water to make up for that. But this whole education about how caffeine dehydrates you is really sucks, right? And halfway through, I was like going, oh, I had my caffeine, this morning, and really I need to drink water, because here I've had, 32 ounces of caffeine, and I'm not going to be able to get all my normal water in, and then double the amount for the caffeine. And it's like, so a few times I made the decision to drink water rather than continuing drinking tea. So the green tea is about a quarter to half, and then I was also started to drink for the first time yerba mate tea, which I got loose leaf at the co-op near me, and they that is half to coffee, so it's half the amount. So so then 32 ounces of that is the equivalent of 16 ounces of coffee. So so that was good. So even though I thought I was drinking a lot of caffeine, I wasn't drinking coffee. I was drinking tea and yerba mate tea, and so I was drinking like maybe 32 ounces, or maybe like 32 plus 16, whatever that is, a day. And then I would have to make up for that with 64 ounces approximately of water plus my weight. The recommended is that you do half your weight in water just normally. So then you add, I was 180, so you add 90 milliliters to that, and it's milliliters. At first I thought, I didn't understand, or ounces. 90 ounces. So you add 90 ounces to that, and then that's really how much water I needed to be drinking throughout the day. So yeah, so and I was worried about this, so I kind of like got it together to learn about this and to keep track, because I was told that I may not lose if I didn't drink enough water, and if I was drinking a lot of caffeine, that was going to get in the way of that, so I better get on top of that. And then at some point I said, oh, I've been drinking so much caffeine, and before I did this whole process, I actually, it was right after she told me you need to drink twice as much water as you do caffeine. I went, oh my goodness. And so I started just like drinking tons of water. Like I drank, I think 90 to 120 ounces of water a day. Or no, it was like 9 32-ounce containers of water. 9, 10, 11, 32-ounce container of water is what I was drinking. And I did that for like a week because I was afraid I wasn't drinking enough water and I didn't quite know how to fix it. And so I just did as much as I possibly could. So I was constantly drinking water. And then when I went to the naturopath, and she said, oh my God, you're drinking way too much water. You're flushing your kidneys out, and you're not losing because of that. So it's like, oh my God, so now I'm drinking too much water. So this was one of the reasons why working with a naturopath was really good, because even though maybe I misinterpreted and maybe she wasn't clear or whatever, but these things got worked out within a week. Whereas if I hadn't had any guidance or I had no idea what I was doing. So if I would have not had input consistently from somebody who knew about nutrition, I would have failed for sure. So yeah, so caffeine consumption is really big. So I would just wanted to give a tip about broth, because broth really got me through. Chicken broth made it very doable. I could always heat up chicken broth and drink it, and at any time, day or night. And there's a chicken broth at Fry's. It's Simply Organic, or I think it's called Simply Organic, and it's zero fat, 0 calorie. It does have sugar or salt in it, but it's zero everything. And so for me, it was a free food, and I could just have as much of it as I want. And now I have like 10 quart containers in my kitchen. It's just really a go-to for me. I use it also to flavor things. Like I put it in vegetables, and I put it in different kinds of dishes. I boil shrimp in it, and I do other things with it and it contributes to the flavor, and it's zero everything. So, except the salt. So that was a huge boon, because I know that these other broths, you'd have to count them. And this, you don't have to count. It was like a free food. So I thought that was great. And I got that at Fry's. Also, I just wanted stevia, sweet leaf stevia, amazing. I have like 10 different flavors and I use it on fruit and it just makes sort of non-sweet fruit taste really good, and can, like, oranges taste really orangey and strawberries taste really strawberry, and there's also vanilla cream, and it's all 0 calorie, zero everything, and so I can use it as much as I want, and it's just, I love it, and it really made phase 2 doable for me. So I got that at Sprouts. I got there's like a sample pack, they call it a party pack, that has little samples of all their different flavors, and I did get that and see what I liked, and then I bought the big bottles, which are kind of expensive. They're like $10 each, in the ones that I really liked and that I used. So I use like coconut, cinnamon, orange, the berry, they have berry chocolate, they have chocolate milk or cocoa, they have vanilla, vanilla cream, and the toffee, and those are the ones coming up. Oh, and tons of lemon drop. I used lemon drop all the time on fish and in lemonade, and in my salad dressings with apple cider vinegar, and I also use just straight sweet leaf stevia for my salad dressings, and that just got me through. I mean, I have some great recipes that are just my go-to recipes that are just really yummy. I've actually been eating better on phase 2 than I was before I started doing this, and that's kind of sad to say, but I'm much happier with the food I'm eating now. I think I was just really struggling with food before that. I just kept trying to, nothing was quite working. So, and my stomach hurt a lot, I think from carbohydrates, or because when I stopped eating, when I started on phase 2, I started feeling a lot better. So yeah, and then in the last couple of weeks, I saw a video on HCG Chica's website where a woman started eating she was eating and regularly ate the salmon from Costco, the canned salmon from Costco, and my dog is snoring. She's so cute. Because I'm rubbing her belly. So I started to eat the canned salmon from Costco, and it's so good. I would put, I love salmon, and it's low fat enough so that it was okay, and I lost weight, and it was just great. So that was something I didn't, keep to the protocol on, but I did only eat 3 ounces of it. So I realized in the last week that I really wasn't eating 500 calories regularly. I was eating like 300 calories regularly, and I really didn't feel like I wanted any more. But in this last week, at the end, I was thinking to myself, am I going to get hungry? Am I going to, I was waiting for the HCG to wear off these last 3 days, like, oh, what's going to happen, and so I was like, I better be able to eat a lot in case I get hungry. And so I like bumped up and I ate like 6 ounces of salmon, on a couple days ago, and it just sat in my stomach. I was like, it felt like a big hard rock in my stomach, and it was not comfortable. And so I went, wow, I don't like that at all. So I'm not sure how things, but I'm definitely just going to like bump up the protein to like 4 ounces and then 5 ounces. I'm not going to do that again. It made me feel tired. It reminded me of how I used to feel when I would eat, before, when I'd eat too much, overeat. Yeah. So the other thing that I did is I, from Weight Loss Apocalypse, which I don't care for the book at all, but she does have the weight, the hunger scale. So in the last couple days, I've been doing two major things. Oh, let me talk about ovulation first. So this is much more about phase two. So I've been tracking my weights and also my percentage of weight ratio or fat ratio with one of those BMI calculator things. And then I put it into this computer program and it graphs it. And it's been nice because, I mean, at first I thought it was just sort of excessive, but it's been really nice because it's a visual representation of the weight loss, and I can see where I stop losing and how long it is, and I've studied it some, and I can see some patterns in the stalls and different times a month. So since I've been going for 2 months now, I've been able to see, you know, I saw the pattern of like, okay, I started my period, that's where my period is, oh, that's how many days. And then there was also other patterns, like maybe I'd stall for 2 days and then I'd drop 2 pounds, and then stall for 2 days and drop 2 pounds. Just different kinds of, I don't know. It's not completely clear, but it's interesting. And one thing that I noticed was that halfway through my periods, I would have a stall that where I would actually go up in weight, which was unusual. And this last time it happened, when it happened the first time, I didn't really think of it, but this time it happened again. I went up in weight and I was not on my period, so I was not doing water retention from my period, and I was eating right, so what's the problem here? And so then I read again, and in, you know, pounds and inches, Dr. He talks about ovulation. So what they say is that ovulation is like 8 to 14 days after the first day of your period. And so what I did is I counted that day when I would go up in weight from the first day of my period, which I was tracking, which also took effort. Like on this computer program, I put first day of period, you know. And sure enough, it was exactly 16 days after I started my period, and that happened in the first month, and it happened in the second month. And so I was like, that's ovulation. So that was really good to know that I actually will go up in weight. And this last time I went up and stalled for 3 days for ovulation. One of the reasons that triggered me into it too is I had breast tenderness during that time too. And so I thought, seems like there's something. You know, I didn't have as much breast tenderness the first time. I only stalled for like 2 days or 1 day the first time. But it was exactly 16 days after when I first started bleeding for my period. So that was really great to know. Oh, okay, there's a pattern. And so as I track my weight loss and track my body generally, I have some invaluable information. HCG did force my periods back. I started 6 days earlier when I started HCG than I had. You know, then I, like, if I had a normal cycle, it would be normal, but I was 6 days early. And then I think I was about that. I kind of got regular from then. But yeah, so ovulation. And then, okay, so I wanted to say yeah, so, and then my naturopath is interesting. So anyway, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to make another video about phase 3.